Hi, happy Saturday, everyone. Yesterday, we talked about getting clear on the ideal life partner, and we did a ton of exercises I found on ChatGPT. And also, I shared with you my, I guess, list or the writing that flowed out of me about what I'm looking for in a life partner. And the second stage of this is to get clear on who I am as a wife, who I am as a partner. And I think that a lot of the manifestation or psychological work encourages you to write down everything you want in a partner and then become that person. And so, even as I was reading that list to you yesterday, I was trying to think about what are areas of myself where I fall short in this. I mean, there are some things that I think I do really well. I'm very physically affectionate, and that's something I want in a partner. I think I am warm hearted and a good communicator, a good listener. But there are other areas that I feel like I could definitely improve. For example, how I manage money. And then just in general, there was a really great podcast I was listening to called Start to Finish How I Manifested Him in 3 Weeks by Shelley Boulard. And one thing that she was saying is get clear on who I am as a wife. And funny enough, despite all this manifesting I've done, I hadn't really started thinking about just what is my practical life like day to day if I'm going to be married to someone. So since I started thinking about that, I've become a little bit cleaner. Like when I get up in the morning, just trying to tidy up a little bit more. And not that I'm a huge mess, but I can definitely, when I'm living by myself, let things go. Getting up and dressing beautifully in the morning, I think I would like my partner to show up for me in that way. And also, there are other things that opened up for me. For example, I was thinking, yeah, I would really like to make beautiful meals for my husband. And then I got into a whole other direction I didn't even anticipate, which was when I'm married, I'm trying to speak about marriage as if it's already happening, even though we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. But when I'm married, imagine myself married, then I don't have the same focus. I'm not focusing on finding a life partner. And I think that that opens up the door for a lot of other activities when I'm not in pursuit of this goal, what am I doing? And I kind of imagine myself living more in the present. I mean, if I have children, I'll be taking them to, when I have children, I'll be taking them to the park and out in nature. So thinking about spending time in nature. And then also I was thinking, I won't be reading books about dating. I'll be reading books about literature. And so then that got me thinking, I listened to a podcast, I think it might have been on the Huberman show, and they were talking about life purpose. And one of the areas they suggest you focus on when you're thinking about your life purpose is what kind of activities you enjoyed as a child. So before I hit puberty, I wasn't thinking about marrying anybody except my mom. I thought that would be a nice person to marry. And so I was like, okay, what did I like to do as a child? I was very in the present. I loved to read Nancy Drew novels, mysteries. I was also very artsy. I loved to paint, do watercolors. And so that started to make me think, wow, I would love to bring more art back into my life and activism as well. Even as a little kid, I remember we once had a stuffed animal protest in the street because people were driving too fast. And my mom, who always is kind of a rebel, encouraged me to put stuffed animals in the street so the cars had to go around them. And it was so funny. It ended up the police came, and then the mayor of Ithaca, New York, where I grew up, came. And he ended up talking to me and my mom. And then he said, okay, honey, you really have to get those stuffed animals out of the street. And then as soon as the mayor and the cops left, my mom said, go put the stuffed animals back in the street. Oh my gosh, such a rebel. And I love my mom so much. All right, I got really distracted. So anyway, it was kind of joyful to open up that space to think about what kinds of activities I would like to be doing, that maybe I'm not doing because I'm focusing my energy on finding a partner. But what I wanted to do actually is go back through that list and focus on what are some of the things that I expect from another person that I haven't cultivated enough in myself already? So I'm going to go through the same writing that I wrote out yesterday, and I'm going to see how I am doing in terms of that. So the first thing I wrote was he has clarity on what he wants. It's immediately clear to him that I'm the wife he wants, and he moves boldly with no hesitation, so it's easy for me. That's an area where I really feel like I could use some work. I mean, I do love this idea of a guy acting boldly with me, and I feel like there's an area where I bring a little bit of immaturity to dating, and that's where I just have this idea ingrained in me that I need to play a little bit hard to get, like kind of make him work for it, or that I have this fear that if I'm very clear that I like him, that he will reject me. But I do think that for men, it's nice for them to have clarity as well. And an interesting tidbit I learned is that there used to be all these books about he's just not that into me and kind of saying like women should play hard to get and men love to chase. And so I just think that you have to be careful about that because ultimately men who really enjoy it when you're mean to them or reject them often tend to be narcissists. And healthy people just enjoy, oh, I like you, you like me, that goes easy. So that's an area that I can work on. And I think if I have more confidence in what I want and that the person I like will like me too, then it'll be easy for me to move with confidence. He has a big heart and laughs easily. Check. That's me for sure. I think I feel seen and heard with him. I definitely feel like in dating, I can take my focus a little bit more off myself and onto the other person and make it easy for them to be seen and heard. So it's easy for them to relax and be their true self. He has a good relationships with his family, with his body, mental and physical health. I do have a good relationship with my mom and I think with my extended family, there are some people I have better and worse relationship with. So that's maybe something I could nurture a little bit. With his body, mental and physical health, I think I have really strong mental health, good physical health. I walk a lot, but I am going to try to do a little bit more of the martial arts also to meet men. Okay, so he eats healthy, also savors food so we can enjoy this together. I'm going to start making more lovely meals, inviting my friends, just kind of getting the experience of what is that like at the same time every day to make a nice meal for someone. He's open to new experiences and curious. I think I'm pretty much, yes, open to that. He loves kids and is fully in it with me to support and encourage my desire to have children and raise a family together. I've been wanting to host some fertility consultants on the show, and I've been feeling a little nervous about that, but I am going to focus a little bit more on my body and my fertility health, and also just start looking into adoption options more. Even that's a bit scary, but I think that's an area that I could work on. He loves his family, check, his work, check, and his friends, but our relationship is his first priority. Oh my gosh, I'm really prioritizing dating right now, so that's done. Yes. He's attentive to what I need and how I feel. Yeah, I think that that is something I definitely bring to a relationship. And again, that goes in the dating territory of not playing hard to get. I feel like I learned this a while ago. Men enjoy when you say you like them, when you're kind to them, when you offer compliments, when you're friendly. All of this being rude and playing hard to get, I think just attracts the wrong kind of partner. And if you're really coming with kindness and not desperation, it's everybody's gonna love it. He brings me little gifts and organizes sweet surprises like trips, romantic weekends, and outings. We love going on adventures and trying new things together. I do enjoy trying new things. I feel like sometimes I rely a little bit on my friends to try the new things. So maybe I'll put out some type of try a new thing every day, a challenge for myself. Okay, so this is where it gets a bit tricky. So, it's a nice idea to say, okay, I'm just going to put out what I want in a partner and then become those things. But then you get something like this. He is tall, has a strong, muscular, manly body, broad, muscular shoulders. He can lift me and swing me around. Okay, so I'm not going to start growing a lot of hair on my chest and develop big muscular shoulders, and I'm not going to become much taller. Although that being the tall thing, I think is a bit silly. And I wrote that because they say in the manifestation books to just write everything that you're inclined towards. But I'm totally fine with a guy maybe a little taller than me is nice. So I guess the point is there are some characteristics that complement you. And then I'm an overthinker. So I start thinking about, okay, do I need to be cultivating more masculine energy in myself? I don't know. Like, I feel like people, even I like to talk a lot, and some of my best friends are more introverted. And so it's a really nice compliment. So I don't necessarily think you need to develop every single quality you want in a man, but correct me if I'm wrong. He has unconditional positive regard for me. So this is something I do catch myself going around town judging people a bit. And I feel like I could really work on that, just bringing more love to people. It's a bit tricky as a woman because sometimes if you smile at every person or you're overly friendly, people can get the wrong idea, even if you're just trying to be nice, that you're attracted to them. So I do feel like this is especially challenging as a woman. I want to be friendly with people, but it's just some people are creepy. I mean, there's no better word for it. And you can smile to people and then they just want your number and it's not the right fit. And so I have to kind of subdue it a little bit in that regard. He loves to play and engage in impromptu fantasies with me. I love play, and it's just part of me. His family is incredibly kind and I get along well with them. He's generous to my friends and family. He has a healthy relationship with technology and knows when to give me undivided attention. This is an area that I'm working on a little bit. I think sometimes I use my phone a bit too much. And I think when you're with another person, you really need to put the phone away. Also, I can get a little bit distracted by social media. So I'm kind of trying to cut out most of my apps right now. All right, he is okay. Then we get into the X-rated part. He's very sexual and sensual. He has strong sexual health, and so I feel desirable with him. This is something. I mean, I have pretty strong sexual health, but I think that I can be thinking a little bit more about aphrodisiacs. And as I said before, it's funny, when I was getting IVF, I felt really attracted to a lot of different people, and I think sometimes attraction can build with time. And if I have that strong sexual energy, I think that it will just attract other people and I'll feel more confident in general. And I'll be attracted to a greater variety of people instead of just focusing on very superficial things. So I'm thinking about cinnamon and ginger and things that smell nice. And I don't know if you see, I have my red hot heels in the background and my red nails. So just bringing more of that energy into my life is a positive. We communicate well, listen well. He's physically affectionate. Okay, loyal, committed, honest, authentic, respects others, cares about the environment and human rights. He's an optimist. I feel like these are already things that I've cultivated well in myself. Next one is definitely an area to work on. He's very good with money. We have as much money as we need, always earn, totally at ease financially. Obviously, I'd be thrilled to marry a billionaire who just wanted to pay for everything in my life and let me make cool podcasts. That would be amazing. However, I'm not going after someone rich. What I want in my life is to be at ease financially, to have that freedom. I don't want to be a big consumer. I care a lot about the environment, and I think that it's very destructive to buy too many things. In my career, work with a lot of wealthy individuals, especially wealthy parents and their kids. And I can see how money, more problems, honestly. And so I want to have enough money to be able to travel, to enjoy life, but I don't have this need to just buy. And I think that a lot of times, I mean, I was an artist, then I built 2 tech companies. I've been in this state of real anxiety about money and not having enough. And so I think the way that I manage money, I could definitely bring a little more consciousness to that. And I regret some of the things that I've spent money on in the past. And also, just even spiritually, I want to be able to bring financial abundance into my life, to have enough resources, and to wish that for everybody to have enough resources. So that's definitely an area to focus on for me. And he loves sharing his wealth with me. I do love sharing my wealth, and I like taking friends out and treating them to things. And it's just, in dating, the financial thing can feel a little bit weird. And I think it's because as women, we spend so much money on hair, makeup, laser hair removal, just everything you can imagine. And we put a lot of time and effort to look nice on dates. And then it's just nice if a man will buy the meal. I mean, it's nothing compared to the $100 skin cream and $50 blush and 3 different lipsticks and $40 hair shampoo and conditioner and dye and the dress and earrings, all the things that we buy. And, and then she's like, okay, can you buy my coffee? the other thing too is that there are some men who do it with joy and some men who don't like to do it or feel resentful of women. And so for me, if I'm on a date and a man says, hey, let's split it, or usually I will offer. And so if he says, like, I don't know, if I offer and he's like, no, it's me, that's attractive to me. That turns me on. And so these things about money are a bit complex and I don't know how to handle exactly because I do want to offer and I don't want to put him in an uncomfortable position where he thinks, oh, she's a feminist. She doesn't want me to pay. But I've invested a lot of money into this date already. And I know it's just nice if he insists and he enjoys that. And I think the men that I admire and respect and feel attracted to really bring a lot of joy in using their money on someone they find beautiful. It's fun for them. It's a pleasure. And yeah, so we can talk more about money for sure. Okay, gorgeous home, beautiful windows. But if I had a lot of money, I think I would feel a lot better about this whole thing. It's just even having money now allows me to take off some time and give space to the dating focus. So that's definitely an issue. I don't know if I should be writing these things down. So, what do we have so far? I need to cultivate a little bit of more compassion and love towards everyone I meet. I need to think about moving towards the man I like with more boldness and clarity without being afraid that's going to be a turnoff for him. It seems like men are the ones who pick up women, but then in a lot of the cases, you should read this book called Make Your Move by John Berger. It turns out that women were actually the one who made the move. I saw on Reddit a woman today was saying, how do I get men to approach me? Why do only some women get approached? And I don't think that woman sees that those women getting approached are actually subtly the ones approaching. It's about looking at a man across the room, smiling, the clothes that you wear, just making some comment to open the conversation or having a book. I think that a lot of women who are not approached would be kind of surprised by how often these women who seem to be being approached are actually the ones approaching. Okay, so let's see. Grateful, sensual. He has a gorgeous home. So there's this idea of having a beautiful space to live in and this beautiful space we can share. I love the space that I live in so much right now, and it took me a while to find that right spot. And so part of this is also just feeling at ease here where I am and not, I don't know. I just like a beautiful home and keeping my home beautiful. We're sure of each other from the beginning. We move quickly. A lot of these are about just how the relationship unfolds and just what we share with others. And then I brought up sex again. So yeah, so I guess the conclusion here is that I think the big priorities for me are financial. And I think maybe I might even host some people on the show about just entrepreneurship advice for me to make more easy passive income to help, so I'm not always in this state of fear and start being a little bit more organized and confident around money and being just more bold in my dating. And I don't know if that's something, I think that will be attractive to men. But yeah, I think I have to think about that some more. Clean around the house, making beautiful meals. It's just exciting because I realize that's something we can all share together and then bring art back into my life. And I think in general, just carrying this idea with me of what kind of wife do I want to be, to my husband. And I feel a little bit funny saying this. I mean, I do consider myself a feminist. And today I was trying to look for good YouTube channels about how to be a good wife. And it was all this super Christian stuff about being submissive to your husband, which is not the direction I'm going in. And also it does make me wonder, is marriage just some kind of anti-feminist, anti-woman thing? I certainly hope not. I know a lot of lovely women, both straight and queer, who are in marriages. And so maybe I imagine, they're very mature, beautiful people. So I don't know. Is marriage just this anti-woman institution? I don't think so. Can be. But yeah, but I like this idea. And I hadn't really thought about this before. Again, in my 20s, you write down these things like rich, good with technology, healthy, and then you realize you literally are none of those things, and you're just looking for the man to come in and rescue you. But now I feel like I am a lot of those things. I'm happy, fulfilled, optimistic, and there are just a few areas I need to tweak, and these are good indicators for me of what to focus on, but it's also a good indicator for me to show up, how I show up in dating and how I show up in my life, in terms of I've gotten so used to living alone and not thinking about another person. And sometimes I feel like, wow, maybe having another person around would be kind of annoying. But on the other hand, I feel ultimately having another person, and even if it's a bit annoying, is good because it just really teaches you about your own habits. All of my roommates will tell you I just never sweep the floor. And so that's something, when you live with someone, you maybe start sweeping the floor a little more. When you have food in your teeth, you make an effort to, not just be thinking about yourself all the time, but how you fit in with them, and you grow. I feel like the episode yesterday was this super organized episode about the qualities I want and this idea of becoming the ideal partner. If I try to make a list of qualities, it feels really overwhelming. And so I think that it's really just more of an intention and an orientation going through life, because it's very different than like, let's do everything I can to make my boyfriend like me or make the ideal guy like me. It's about becoming someone who is just something bigger than themselves, that is part of two and then is part of an interconnected community, and thinking more about, what's in it for a man and how do I live up my side of things. And so maybe that's part of why I'm looking for a relationship, is so I can become something larger than just someone who thinks about me and my own needs. Not that I don't think about my community, but yeah, so no clear conclusions, just an intention to the uh become the wife I'd want to marry, or become that person who's ready to meet the man who's excited to meet me.